So, welcome, Anna and Jose. I'm very glad to have you here today. We're here today to talk about the upcoming advanced teacher training that is going to happen in Athens, October 2023. And I will be hosting the event. Nama Yoga Studio is the host. And here we are about to discuss what is this training all about, why so unique, how you both are so unique in what you teach, and how teachers from other lineages and Forrest Yoga teachers can be benefited from your work together, because you have been working together for many years now, and Forrest Yoga has been changing all these years. So first, I want to introduce both of you. Anna Forrest is the creatrix of Forrest Yoga. And for me, it's the yoga that I have been practicing since 2009. I did my foundation with Anna in 2012. And back then I was 23 years old. So since then, Forrest Yoga has been one of the main reasons of who I am now and how I am evolving. Anna has been growing Forrest Yoga the last 40 years, I think. And 40, how many?
Well, I've been teaching yoga since 1974, but I started developing Forrest Yoga really clearly around 1980.
Okay. And one of the most touching and amazing things about this system and about Anna, about you yourself, is for me the compassion and the fierceness that this practice has at the same time. So it is truly a system which cares about humanity, which cares about our deepest sense of being and how to walk in this life with awareness. Jose Calarco is a musical shaman, a singer, songwriter, musician, and storyteller, and a medicine man. And Jose has a very long history with arts and music. And when they combined forces with Anna, since 2014, he has been the ceremonial leader of Forrest Yoga, the musical director of Forrest Yoga, a business mentor, and Anna's life partner also. So they both teach their events together. So thank you for being here and for coming to Athens.
Yeah, thank you very much, Victoria. I must admit, like when Anna and I got together, which the story goes, we met in an elevator going up at Body, Mind, Life, which is a great story in itself. But the combination of two lifetimes of experience, like Forrest Yoga hasn't changed from like when you did your course in 2008, 2009. It hasn't changed. We've still kept Anna's amazing foundations there, but we have layered all this new, all my experience as an international performer, promoter on the world's biggest stages, just bringing this professionalism of audio, visual, music. You know, we've just made the trainings and workshops a complete spiritual experience of moving the body, stilling the mind, expressing the emotions, and nurturing the spirit. So each class is like a movie script, or each training is like a movie script. Like we have a beginning, we have a midpoint, and then we have an amazing finale. So things just aren't thrown together like many other trainings. They are very carefully sequenced and scripted. And the advanced teacher training is one of the most amazing works Anna and I have.
And I just wanted to add on to what you're saying, because I feel it's really important to recognize is like with our two energies coming together, it's Forrest Yoga has become our co-creation. and we are working it as a co-creation every day. So it is changed in a lot of ways, and in ways that I'm just so excited about and thrilled with, because I could not bring it to where it is now on my own. That took Jose's skills, and it took a willingness. This is another big deal. Like, here's two different medicine people, and not always do medicine people or yoga teachers mix. So it took a willingness on both of our part to co-create this in beauty.
Yeah.
Okay. So on this element, so what should people expect from this training?
Expect to go from ordinary to extraordinary. Like, really, without trying to go too much into the self-promotion, there is no training like Anna and I. Firstly, there's two of us here, and as I said, 2 lifetimes of experiences. You're going to get Anna's amazing yoga and sequences. We're going to go so deeply into the shamanic practices, and also there's a bit of everything. Like, people who have been to ceremony before. Look, most white people will never go to an Aboriginal ceremony, a Native American ceremony, so they don't really know what ceremony is. So Anna and I are trying to bring that aspect to white middle class people, what to experience in ceremony. And really, we're talking much more than an exercise class. When Anna and I make teachers, we don't make exercise teachers. We try to make almost like a shamanic teacher. So we will give all the physical aspects of the yoga, but we will also provide people, we'll give them tools to help themselves. So at the end of the day, we want people to be enabled to help themselves. So Anna has many ways of doing that, because she's been doing it for over 40 years. And then myself, I've been in the shamanic business and Aboriginal business for over 30 years. And we went to all the world's biggest stages. We met many shamanic and medicine people from all over the world. The company traveled to almost 50 countries at some of the world's biggest events. So we bring 2 lifetimes of magical experiences, all packed into 9 days. So as I said, we don't make exercise teachers. We make magic people.
And we teach people how to get to their authentic self, to clear away all the layers of their conditioning that makes them hollow, how to fill up, how to embody their spirit. So what can people expect? They will be getting beautifully combed sequences of very intense yoga poses, but not only doing the poses. One is, there's so many things I want to say right now, Vic. One is, because we know how to down level, which means creating the steps that lead into the advanced poses, we open doorways for them to experience those advanced poses and the energies that they bring in a way that they never have, and to teach that. 2 is, they learn how to begin to sequence poses together, like making a beautiful song. If you just throw poses together, it creates havoc internally, energetically, and physically. And the nervous system gets stressed out. But the way that we teach sequencing, it feeds the nervous system and the muscular system and the brain, and teaching people how to connect to their spirit, which they desperately need, because our people worldwide are bereft of what's real, of connecting to spirit, of connecting to the mystery of life. We're just taken up with the problems and hopelessness of life, and that's actually just a very small part of it. So this reawakening of passion, this reawakening of why connect to your spirit. Also, what people find that they get is a desire. They fill up enough to have a desire to help others, and then being enriched by doing that, not drained. So they'll learn how to sequence properly. They'll learn how to up level and down level the poses. They'll learn how to vision quest and seek for knowledge through the poses, as well as through the other kinds of ceremonies that we present.
Yeah.
We give people many different ways to connect to their own mysterious self and begin to evolve themselves.
And Victoria, we have 4 courses entwined into the 9 days. We have the nutrition and vegan course. We have a mini business course put in there. We have a ceremony course, and we have a music healing course, all entwined into those 9 days. So as I said before, we this is so much more than just exercise. This is self-transformation, and we're creating the urban shamans of tomorrow. So the reason that a medicine person is one step beyond another person is because we don't operate on the surface ego. All prayers and manifestations in shamanism come underneath the mental noise in a place we call the second attention. The second attention is where shaman people work. The reason we can see energy, the reason we can see spirits, the reason we manifest things and are one step above the other people is that this is our life practice, and for people to get that depth and magic, we have to come underneath the mental clutter, underneath the ego's illusion, and we must create new forms of perception. So we need to undo and unravel everything we think we know.
Yes.
Also,
Yeah, go on, Vic.
And this way, the whole thing that you describe, you can live after such a training and such an experience feeling interconnected, like a web of connection with everything, because you clear all the first level of attention and illusions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you clear a lot of the smog and the cobwebs out. And you also, we're teaching people to be good yoga teachers, and yoga covers every aspect of life in the way that we present it. Teach them how to teach their students how to heal, but also as teachers, how to use their hands and the adjustments and the sequencing in a healing way, so that their students are improved after every class.
As you know, Victoria, these days, yoga teachers have to be everything for their students. They have to be a friend, they have to be a teacher, sometimes a doctor, a shoulder to cry on. What happens when your student says to you, I want to commit suicide? I'm unhappy about life. This is what's, since 2020, Anna and I get this all the time. As a matter of fact, students we know have died. In the last couple of years, there's been death all around us. There's been people coming to us, bitterly unhappy, wanting to commit suicide. What does a yoga teacher do? When your friend, what do you do? We have to prepare to be so many roles now. We're not just friends, we're also their healers. We're also their advisors.
We're also what I call a truth shield, which is we're surrounded by so much lies and deceit and manipulations. So as a Forrest Yoga teacher and as a medicine person, like we're medicine people, the people in the training will be learning about medicine, but that doesn't make the medicine people. Becoming a medicine woman or man, it takes a lot of work. But to reflect truth, to make the effort to speak truth, not bullshit, is like cut the bullshit out completely out of your teaching. So you're not mouthing things that somebody else told you that's not true. Just because, oh, you know, Om Namo Narayani, la 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 la. It's like, learn to speak the truth so that your student can respond to the truth and then begin to learn to speak the truth in their circle of friends and associates. And in that way, there's these beautiful seeds of truth that are being planted out into our society. That is a great gift from this yoga practice and from this training.
And another thing, Anna and I come from such a vastly different background to most people. Anna's years on an American Indian reservation is already a totally different perspective. And also my 25 years in the indigenous business with the world's oldest living cultures. We have to be different, and we have totally different perspectives. Anna and I are much more comfortable with the indigenous forms of spirituality than the New Age spirituality, which, you know, sometimes can be a little bit of spiritual diabetes. Like when Anna and I see, like, we're not going to mention any names, but when we see some of the nonsense going on in social media, we see that the difference between indigenous spiritual traditions and New Age traditions. And Anna and I are much more inclined to go with what's been there for thousands of years in the case of Native American spirituality and Australian Aboriginal spirituality. That's, we draw on the people of the earth and their center and their core, and we reflect that in our trainings.
It's also one of the people will learn.
Go on, Vic.
Let me finish this. One of the things that people will learn is how to literally feed their luminosity, to be responsible for tending to their own light and building it, and to be responsible for their own evolution, which is really the sexiest, most wonderful thing ever. It's like, I want to take responsibility for evolving and use this practice and use these observations and principles to do it. What were you going to
All right, Vic, now your turn.
It's empowering. That's what I understand. It's acquiring the skill to feel empowered and to really nurture and develop this empowerment so that you can bring it out in the daily life and even transmit it to your students and to your own circle. So I wanted to refer to, because you said in the training there is sound healing session, which
Absolutely,
and the ceremony part, but especially the sound healing, which is something unique. You can't find it in other teacher trainings, and in the yoga, in this way you teach it. So how these elements, especially the sound healing, why do you have it have you included in the practice? How this element can have a result in our daily life? How is it helpful?
well, back in 2014, when I joined Forrest, that was the very first thing I brought in. And the reason I brought it in, because sound healing or wave therapy healing has been with our people for 60,000 years. Now, let me explain. You see a physical body here. What you do not see is an electromagnetic body. So the electromagnetic body, or the aura, as you may call it, or other people may call it, encases the physical body. Now, in today's times, diet, negative people, 5G, 4G, microwaves, telephones, everything is attacking the electromagnetic field, which is like the Earth's, what do you call it? The Earth's protection shield.
The ozone layer.
Yeah, the ozone layer. Like the Earth has an ozone layer to protect it. The body has an aura to protect it. Now, the moment the aura is damaged, and it is damaged, psychics and clairvoyants will see big black spots all over the aura. Now, this is the first line of defense If that goes down, and it's down for most people, you must understand this, just bad diets, negative people, bad relationships, the state that you are in, that is the state that your aura is in. So we've known this in our culture for 60,000 years. So when we have a didgeridoo healing, the aura is reinstated. What the aura should look like is if you throw a pebble into the pond, you will see ripples of waves symmetrically and beautifully and evenly. That's what someone who is in a good state of mind, like Anna and I, that's what the aura looks like. For most people, the aura no longer has harmonious lines. It's jagged, it's open. So it's open to volatile energies and diseases all the time. So, and that was back in 2014. I bought the didgeridoo healings, and the combination of love, human touch, and music combined. So this is something that I brought into the yoga world. But since then, like, lots of people have been using bowls, crystal bowls anyway. So this is somewhat similar, but different to what Anna and I have been doing, because I'm going more on the Aboriginal traditions of 60,000 years and not the new age, which is, you know, from 1986 on. That's when the new age begun, and all their forms of crystal bowls and bells, and, you know, but the Indian culture has used music for 5,000 years. And in our Sydney teacher training, I got real people, real Indians in.
From India.
From India, real Indians in, to show how Odissi dance and music came before yoga, and how yoga was an offshoot of dance and music from initiations, from Odissi dancing. So my background with indigenous cultures, Indian as well, I have a background with Indian cultures. I was also made an honorary Indian, and Maori cultures. That was my job before Forrest Yoga. I was into multiculturalism. So I brought all these ideas into Anna. Anna was the one person I could see in yoga that was authentic, real, and ready to accept all this traditional and indigenous stuff. And that's the reason it's in Forrest Yoga. But you'll notice lots of people have now included it into their yoga using crystal bowls.
And it's a fascinating field to study and experiment with how music affects us. Most people love music, whether it's rock music or jazz or classical or whatever it is, and our culture is shaped by music. But to take it into a much deeper level of reorganizing the shapes that we form inside with our entanglements, with our injuries, with our heartbreaks, and the music begins to unwind that on a cellular electromagnetic level. It's quite amazing. And it's very mysterious, and yet it's also can be proven over and over again through science how it works.
So in actual fact, the waveform is reinstated back to its natural shape until until, you know, the next bunch of negative people, this and so many things affect our aura. Some people call it the astral body. Aura is probably a better name, because the astral body is just one of the many subtle bodies within the aura. So when our physical body dies, we have a whole bunch of etheric bodies that come next. And how I know this, I'm a shaman, and I've worked with Aboriginal people all my life. So we explore dreams through our astral etheric bodies. our knowledge is just not from a textbook. We actually do it. And there's a big difference there.
So back to the expectations. One of the things that people will get every day is this music, meditation, healing, reorganizing, refreshing time. That is part of our daily practice. And
Yes.
learning how to work with it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't mean like they have, by the end of the course, they have to know how to sing this and that. It's not that. It's like they may need to turn music on in order to work with it, which you can do. You have a particular song, like, I don't know, Carlos Nakai's flute music, who's an Indian friend of mine that I love. You turn that on and you can work with people. One of the funny things when Heyoka and I first met, was Heyoka, sorry, I'm wrong. That was my Sundance teacher. When we first met, Jose and I had just begun experimenting with learning to use my medicine songs with putting hands on and trying to get that vibration into a person, and also to use Brahmari from me to them and them to the area. And so I started explaining this thing, which was this secret thing I was working on. I didn't know enough about it to bring it out to people. And Jose looked at me kind of funny and said, we've been using music as healing for 60,000 years. And I said, oh man, we need to talk. Yes, I want to learn about this because I've been alone in this journey.
Yeah, but the music healing is just one aspect. You've got to also have your nutrition right. And
Yes.
we also go into that very deeply, what the advantages of not eating tortured animals. And there is so many advantages of being a vegan. And, every time we eat a violated animal, it creates clogs and blocks our own energy up. And the shamans tell us this because animals are greatly abused in today's times through factory farming and many other methods. The torture and suffering is then passed on to the eater. And then, of course, we even go into the business aspect of things because most yoga teachers, as you know, Vic, are not, can't even answer an email. But you are one of the best we've ever come across. So we know you take your business so seriously. And then, of course, there's the ceremony as well. And we give
so
people
many
ceremony.
different elements combined together.
Yes.
So I have another thing concerning the injuries, because most people, they feel really depressed when an injury comes up in the body, and there's a tendency to drop the practice or never say a word that they are in pain, and they keep going on, they keep pushing and they keep struggling. And this quality then is reflected the way we teach and the way we approach our students and our own life. So I know how, but I want you to, from you to share how Forrest Yoga approaches this so vast thing concerning injury and feeling shamed around injury, or wanting to do all the advanced asanas because then I will feel enough. Then if I do the advanced asanas, I am a great teacher. So can someone with an injury come, even if it's an advanced training with advanced asanas? How do you approach this?
Well, the injury first is let's reframe the injury. As you brought up, I think it's an important aspect is we get shamed around our injuries. We can't do this, or we're not good enough all of a sudden. But in fact, when we have an injury, it's a call to evolve. It's a call to learn something new, because whatever it was you have been doing isn't working. Therefore, you need to quest for what will work to heal this. And when you reframe it into this healing quest, it becomes much more enticing and not digging into that depression like, oh my God, I can't do my handstands or splits or whatever it is. And as long as you make splits, the pose, for example, more important than your healing, then you'll continue to injure yourself. So you have to switch to what's the most healing action I can do. Quitting the practice is not it. Going numb and pushing through, thinking I'm being strong, I have to keep going, that's not it either, because that builds numbness, disconnect, and suffering. So how do you reshape the practice so it's healing for the injury? And in that learning, you'll also be able to assist your students when they get injured. People get injured for all kinds of reasons. They fall off a curb, they get in a car accident, they get cancer. And so as teachers, we need to begin to experiment and explore with the student what brings healing.
You know, injuries are great opportunities. People must remember that if Anna Forrest didn't fall off a chair and break her back, she never would have become the Anna Forrest we see today.
I injured my back. I didn't break it. Just
Well,
correction.
well, she
Terrible
felt
injury.
something happened to her back because
Yeah.
she was born. Also, she was born a cripple. I don't know much about that, but she did fall off a chair once and really injured her back, and it ended up being a blessing.
Right, because out of that came all the over the roll poses, the abdominals. There's many poses, learning about how to traction and make space for the discs in the spine and the nerves. So my injury, which paralyzed my legs, and I was crippled, my injury, I was eventually able to turn into good medicine, not only for my own healing, but then for the people that come to me. And that's been part of what's been integrated into Forrest Yoga as a daily practice now.
Yeah, injuries are a great opportunity to change what is. Every time I've been injured, I've used the injury as a tool. Wow, okay, how am I going to do this pose with that injury, this, that? And then now I learn how to help students who have the same knee issues or shoulder issues that I had. So
there's always something that you can do, and there's always,
of course,
and you learn this.
It's not always a bad thing.
And also it's really fascinating because in the teacher training, we have people working with each other pretty much every single day. And so if you have a neck injury, Victoria, and I'm working with you as a trainee, I get to learn what will work for a neck injury or what won't. But then you also get to learn to be honest enough to not stonewall, to not go quiet on your injury, but to give me accurate feedback about whether or not what we're doing is helpful. So it's a learning process both ways. You're learning to speak the truth, and we quest together as teacher and student to find out what helps, what works, and what doesn't work, you just put it aside. And then what's more important is what works today, because what worked yesterday with the injury may not work today. So it's not like, oh my God, I just can't figure it out. It's like, no, that worked yesterday. It may work tomorrow, but today we have to do something different. Another aspect with injuries is, let's say we're in the class and we're doing wheel pose, and for whatever reason the injury doesn't allow it. It's learning how to down level and pick a different pose that person can work on. Maybe it's camel, maybe it's standing back bend with the roll, maybe it's abdominals, but to do something else when getting to that point of that pose doesn't work today. It's like, okay, well, there's 1,000 other poses to choose from. So we make a different choice that will help the healing. And to be willing to open to those possibilities and like, no, it must be handstand. It's like, no, it doesn't have to be. But then on the flip side of that, because people are so sneaky and neurotic, is they will use their mental processes or their flakiness to say, oh, I can't do that today. I need to do Shavasana all day. It's like, cut the bullshit. Let's find out what you can do besides Shavasana or flake out. So flaking out is not part of the healing process. That's part of the perpetuating the misery process.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I think this covers everything. And especially if teachers from other yoga lineages that want to come, they will get so many different tools to enrich their teachings. So because it's open, right? It's mostly people from other yoga lineages. They can get different tools.
Anna and I are always teaching other yoga teachers. Like at most of our workshops we just completed in Salt Lake City, 3/4 of the room were already yoga teachers. And of course, they're going to learn from something. Firstly, Anna and I are older than most yoga teachers. And secondly, our unique background, it doesn't get more unique than what we've already both done internationally. So we have a lot of knowledge to give to yoga teachers.
Teachers sometimes think like, oh, I took my 200-hour course, so I don't need to do yours. It's like, but actually what we're teaching is nothing what you know. So it is your job as a yogi or a yogini to evolve. And taking this course will help you in every aspect of your teaching. Whether you have your roots in another system or not doesn't matter, because all of what you're learning here, you can feed back into it. As you said, it will enrich it, but it will also help make you become a person that you can be proud of. This is a lot of deep inner work, as well as what to do for somebody else. It's also what to do for you to keep you nourished on all these different levels. Nourished and fascinated, because one of the things I find is infectious in yoga teachers is they get very automatic in their teaching, and it's boring. They bore themselves, and then they bore their students, and it deadens it. And so how to take a spirit pledge to not be boring, to be impassioned and really present with what one is doing, not just clicking into automatic, because that teaches disconnect, and our people already know how to disconnect. We need to teach how to connect to what's real and what's authentic, instead of connecting to what's not real and that doesn't feed us. It's like food that is not real, that gives us the illusion that we're feeding ourselves, but it doesn't actually give us any vitality, any nutrition. So this practice is full of nutrition on all levels of humanity.
I like this. Yes, it is. So the advanced teacher training will be in Athens from 13 to 21st of October. And you can reach both Forrest Yoga and Nama Yoga Studio or me, Victoria Kourkakis, for any details and registrations, because it will be an extraordinary experience with having both Anna and Jose and all these tools that really reignite and recreate and also develop our passion, both as teachers, but as for us ourselves also as human beings, to feel whole and to feel connected. Thank you, Anna and Jose.
Grazie, bella.
We'll see you soon.
Yes.